Welcome back to the Bourbon Battalion on YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about allocated bourbons versus some easier to find, oftentimes cheaper alternatives that you can pick up at your local liquor store from the same distillery. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you smash that subscribe button to follow along for more content like this. Oftentimes as bourbon enthusiasts, we get caught up in the hype. We get caught up in the chase. And hey, I love the chase of bourbon hunting just as much as the next person. But today I want to talk about some alternatives that you can find that are not allocated, that you can readily find at most liquor stores, depending on where you're at, that are oftentimes a lot easier to find and cheaper to find than their allocated counterparts from the same distillery. Starting off, we're going to talk about Heaven Hill and Elijah Craig. I just cracked open this Elijah Craig 15 year. I think it's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but we're talking about a $150 plus bottle, depending on if you get it for MSRP or if there are secondary prices involved with it. Other allocated, harder to find bourbons from Heaven Hill, we're talking about the Elijah Craig 18 year, which I think is vastly overrated. Not worth near the $200 price tag that you're going to pay for it, but we're also talking about Parker's Heritage and some of the limited releases such as the Heaven Hill 22, the Heaven Hill 90th edition, and the Heaven Hill 19 year, things like that. But here are some counterparts that you can pick up at most liquor stores depending on where you're at. First up, I want to talk about the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batched Series. This one here, this is batch A126. It is the Barrel Proof Rye Edition. This one's coming in at 120 proof, and it was a little hard to find here in PA, but depending where you're at, you can find this pretty easily. I know my Ohio friends, these are all over the shelves in Ohio. The Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch Series, these are phenomenal, especially if you get one that's higher age, higher proof. Lately, the age statements have been creeping down on them slowly, but the higher aged ones are absolutely fantastic. You can generally find them for about the $79 to $89 range, and these are well worth it at the price that you're going to pay. Also from Elijah Craig, we're talking about the Elijah Craig Single Barrel Series. This one in particular is a toasted bourbon. This was a 9-year-old pick from Chattanooga Wine and Spirits down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I think these toasted barrel picks are phenomenal. I think they are a clear step above the regular barrel proof picks. I think the barrel proof picks are pretty good. I have a ton of them up there on my shelf, but these toasted picks I think are a step above. So it doesn't matter whether you're going after a toasted pick or just a regular single barrel proof bourbon. They're fantastic. They're great value for the price. Again, you can find them about that $79 to $90 range, and well worth it if you can find one. Also from Heaven Hill, along the same lines of those two Elijah Craig products that I showed, the Larceny Barrel Proof Batch Series, those are also fantastic. I have one up there. I just didn't feel like climbing up there and digging it out. But the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch Series releases, they are also phenomenal and they pack a punch. You can usually find those for around $69 to $79. Next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite distilleries. We're going to talk about Wild Turkey. I love Wild Turkey. This is one of my favorite bourbons that I've ever had. This is another fantastic bourbon. I've got the Russell's 15 year here, and I got the Russell's Single Rickhouse. This is a Camp Nelson bottle. These are both fantastic, but you're going to pay a premium for these. You have to hunt these. They're very hard to find. Oftentimes you got to get them on secondary, and the pricing is ridiculous. This, I believe the MSRP was like $350, but if you look at them on secondary now, I mean, you're going to pay $800, $900 for one of these bottles. The Russell Single Rickhouse, I believe the MSRP was like $250 on this, maybe $300. But again, if you find it on secondary, you're going to pay more than that. They're very good. Don't get me wrong. I just think there are cheaper and more readily available bottles that you can get from Wild Turkey that's going to satisfy what you're looking for. First up from Wild Turkey, we have the Russell's Single Barrel Store Picks. I have yet to have a store pick of one of these that is not good. There are some that are exceptionally better than others. That's the variance that you're going to have with single barrel picks. But to me, Russell's private selection picks, they hit every time. You can generally get these for about $79, $89, and they're much more readily available, especially if you have a store close to you that does store picks. I can almost guarantee that at some point throughout the year, they're going to have one of these sitting on the shelves. For the money, you can't go wrong with one of these. Along the same lines, we have the Russell's Single Barrel. These Russell Single Barrels are absolutely phenomenal. They're delicious. You can get them for about $79, maybe a little bit less depending on where you're at. And the consistency and the punch that you get from this is well worth it, and you're going to be happy walking away with one of these and not have to hunt as hard as you would for one of those. Also from Wild Turkey, we have what I call Old Reliable. We have the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This is a barrel proof product coming in at 116 proof. These absolutely pack a punch. You can get them for like $69, maybe a little bit less, $59 to $69, but a barrel proof Wild Turkey product that packs a punch, you absolutely can't beat it. You can find this at almost any liquor store across the country. These are shelfers, they're readily available. You can find them almost anywhere, and these are flavorful, they pack a punch, and it's gonna satisfy what you're looking for. In my opinion, I absolutely love making old fashions with Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This hits the spot. Next up, we're gonna talk about Jack Daniels. I love Jack Daniels, I am a huge Jack Daniels fan. Both of these bottles, I absolutely love them. They're flavorful, they're delicious, they're well worth the value of what you're gonna pay for these, especially if you can get them around MSRP or maybe slightly above, but I love these. However, there are some bottles that you can get at almost any liquor store from Jack Daniels that just as good as these, if not better. First up, we're gonna talk about the Jack Daniels Single Barrel Proof product. This one here is the rye. Here, I've got a single barrel proof bourbon. This one happens to be the Hero Select bourbon. What we're talking about here is a $70 bottle that you could find at almost any liquor store. The Hero Select lineup, you can only find those on military installations at the PX or a Class 6 on base, but the regular single barrel proof products, you can find these at almost any liquor store. You can find them in store pick varieties, or you can find them on the shelf as a shelf product. These are absolutely fantastic. You can get them at like 69 bucks, and these single barrel proof ryes, these are some of my favorite pours. I always have one. I always have a backup of one. This one here in particular, not sure if you can see that or not, but this was aged on Coy Hill. If you know anything about Coy Hill, you know that those hit. You know that the Coy Hill releases, they're super allocated. They go for crazy prices on secondary. This here, this is a single barrel rye from Coy Hill that you can get for $69. You absolutely can't beat this, and this is one of the best values in whiskey. The single barrel bourbons are also fantastic. I happen to prefer the ryes over the bourbons. A lot of people prefer the bourbons over the ryes. It's just up to you and your taste and what you prefer. But these absolutely hit, whether it's the bourbon or the rye. You can't go wrong with one of these over one of the more allocated releases. Another product that absolutely hits from Jack Daniel is the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Heritage release. This one is the toasted variety, and you can get these for about $69 to $79, and they're all over the place now. At first, they're a little hard to find, but now you can find these at almost any liquor store, depending on your state, depending on where you're at. But these are now a shelf product, and you can find these much more easily. This was one of my top whiskeys of 2025, and for the price, despite the proof point, this is a banger. It packs a punch. You absolutely cannot go wrong with this. Now we're going to talk about Old Forester. I love Old Forester. It's one of my favorite distilleries. These Old Forester Blue Labels, they're becoming a little bit more available than they were before, but they're still kind of hard to find. These are only found single barrel pick varieties, so you have to have a store that does picks of these and happens to have one in stock. These are about $99, and I love these. I absolutely love these. I think they're worth the price, but there are cheaper options that you can get from Old Forester that you can find much more easily than this. You also have popular choices that are allocated from Old Forester, such as the President's Choice Bourbon and Ryes, the Birthday Bourbon, things of that nature. So we're going to talk about two bottles in particular that you can get from Old Forester almost at any liquor store that you walk into. First up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite shelfers. We have the Old Forester 1920. Old Forester 1920 is a part of the Whiskey Row series. This is supposed to be a Prohibition-style bourbon, but for 115 proof that you can get for about $49 to $59, this is an absolute banger. It packs a punch. It is delicious. It's readily available. And this, honestly, is not far off from being just as good as the single barrel proof bourbons. This is absolutely fantastic. Next up, we're going to talk about Old Forester 1910. Old Forester 1910 happens to be one of my favorite double oaked products. This is a double oaked release from Old Forester. This one's coming in at 93 proof, but despite being 93 proof, this one packs an absolute punch. It's delicious, it's flavorful, it's an incredibly well done double oaked bourbon, and this is one that you cannot go wrong with from Old Forester, especially if you love double oaked bourbons. This bottle isn't an Old Forester label release. However, it is a Brown-Forman release, so it's kind of along the same lines, but this Cooper's Craft Bourbon is an absolute budget banger. You can get these for anywhere from $29 to $39. I've even seen them for less, but you're talking about a $29, $39 bottle that is flavorful. It well exceeds its value for what you're going to pay for it. This was one of those bottles that I kind of put off trying for a little bit, and once I tried it, I was like, why in the world haven't I tried this before? This is fantastic, well worth its price, so if you can find one of these, I highly recommend that you do. Next up, we're going to talk about limited releases from Jim Beam. Here, I've got the Little Book Chapter 9. And here, I've got the Booker's Reserves. The Booker's Reserves is a little bit more allocated than your Little Book lineup, but the Little Book series, it's also fairly allocated. It can be hard to find, and generally when you find it, that your store is only going to have one, maybe two bottles of them. So again, some states have better distribution than others. It just really depends. I absolutely love both of these. I love Little Book. I love the Booker's Reserves. The Booker's Reserves 2024 release is one of my favorite whiskeys of all time. I freaking love it. But there are more readily available and cheaper options that you can find that also are bangers. First up, we're going to talk about the Booker's releases. So these are the annual, usually 4 times a year releases that are released from Jim Beam under the Booker's name. And these are batched releases. And these, I absolutely love them. They pack a punch. You can get them for about $89 to $99, depending on where you're at. And to me, they are well worth the price of what you're going to pay. You get those standard Jim Beam notes that you would expect. And one of the things that I love about Booker's is I love the classic bourbon notes. I am a bourbon traditionalist in a lot of senses. So I love the traditional bourbon notes that you're going to get on this. And to me, if you love those classic traditional notes that you should expect from a bourbon, these are going to be right up your alley. Next up, we're going to talk about the Baker's Single Barrel 7-Year. This is 107 proof. These are single barrel varieties, and these are well worth the value. They're generally about $69 or so. This one in particular is 8.5 years old. I have found with the Baker's releases, if you can get one that is over 8 years old, and a lot of times you can find them pretty close to 9 years old, those especially are going to be well worth what you're going to pay for it. It's going to exceed the value of what you're going to pay for those bottles. They're delicious, they're flavorful, and these are absolute bangers. Another banger from the Jim Beam family, we have the Knob Creek Single Barrel Series. Knob Creek is full of exceptional value. I think some of the best values in bourbon are the Knob Creek 9-year and the Knob Creek 12-year. Both of those are exceptional values. These Knob Creek single barrel proofs, they just started coming out with the cask strength varieties of the store pick. These were originally being proofed down to about 120 proof. This one in particular is 126 proof. Whether it's 120 proof, it's less than that, it's more than that. These are going to be bangers. They're going to be well worth the price. I got this one for $59, and that's about what you should expect to pay for one of these. And you're talking about an exceptional value at $59 that's flavorful, packs a punch, and is going to exceed the value of what you're going to pay for. Last but not least, we're going to talk about craft distilleries. So this isn't going to fall into the tune of the rest of the video where it's like, hey, instead of buy this allocated product, buy this cheaper product. But what I want to talk about is I want to talk about craft distilleries, NDPs that are putting out amazing products that you can find a lot easier than some of these allocated releases. And I think sometimes craft distilleries and NDPs, they can kind of be slept on. So I'm just going to touch on some ones that I really like. I have tons of crafted products on my shelves. These are just some that I happen to really like. The Reveries are putting out banger after banger after banger. I have yet to have a bad release from the Reveries. If you can find these, if you're a part of a barrel club that does barrel picks and they do picks with the Reveries, or if your store happens to do picks of the Reveries, do not pass on one of these. It is sure to be a banger. The Reveries 8-year here, this was an $80 bottle, and this is going for over $200 on secondary. This was my pick that I did, and these are going for over $200 on secondary. It's an absolute banger. Next up, we're going to talk about one of my favorite craft distilleries. We're going to talk about King's Family Distillery. They're located in Sevierville, Tennessee, just outside of Pigeon Forge. This King's Family Tennessee Standard Toasted Edition, it is one of my favorite whiskeys that I have. This might be my whiskey of the year for 2026. We'll see when I do my blind at the end of the year. But I have yet to have a bad release from King's Family. And one of the nice things with King's Family is they have a wide variety of products. I have a burr rye that's up on top of my fridge. It is absolutely fantastic. They have some great ryes. They have great bourbons. They have great flavored whiskeys. They have something for everybody. King's is a banger. Next up, we're going to talk about Evernorth. This is an up-and-coming NDP. I think Evernorth is killing it. They're putting out some great single barrel products, especially if you can get the MGP or OZ Tyler ones. They are absolutely fantastic. This was either $59 or $69. It is an 8-year bourbon. It's delicious. It's flavorful. It's balanced. It's well worth what I paid for it. Another craft distillery that I love, Larrikin Distillery. Larrikin is right next to Wild Turkey, so if you've gone to Wild Turkey, chances are you've driven right past here. And if you've driven right past here and you haven't stopped in to check them out, you are missing out. They are fantastic people, and the whiskey that they're putting out is even better. This is a high wheat rye. This is absolutely incredible. It is a fantastic rye, and that high wheat component of it brings a unique balance to it that you don't find with a lot of ryes. Their single barrel bourbons are also great. They have American light whiskeys that are great. One of my favorite bourbons that I have is up there. It is the Larrikin 9-year single barrel titled Deep Purple. It is a hazmat. It's delicious and does not drink like a hazmat. If you haven't tried Larrikin, don't sleep on it. You need to try it out. Next up, we're going to talk about Hard Truth. Hard Truth is one of my favorite craft distilleries that are putting out fantastic ryes. Another craft distillery that puts out fantastic ryes that I love Sagamore. I am a huge Sagamore fan. In Hard Truth, they are putting out banger ryes as well. This one is the Maple Brulee rye. For a sweeter rye, this is absolutely fantastic. I can be hit or miss on finishes, and this one was done just right. I've had a bunch of different ryes from Hard Truth. They're all fantastic. They're all delicious. They do have some bourbons. I just haven't really dove into those yet, but I have no doubt with as good as the ryes are, that they are fantastic as well. If you haven't tried Hard Truth, I would highly recommend giving them a shot. Another craft distillery that I absolutely love, J.W. Kelly. This is under the Silver Springs label, which is a part of J.W. Kelly. J.W. Kelly, especially their ryes, I mean, you want to talk about value. This is a $45 bottle. I've seen them below $40. They could charge $80 for this and I would still buy it and be perfectly happy. These ryes are fantastic. There's something that J.W. Kelly does with their ryes that I don't understand it, but they do ryes right. My barrel club, we have a pick of this coming. It is fantastic. It's actually the last pick of these that is going to be done for quite some time. So if you want to get one, make sure you join my barrel club. You can get one. Another bottle that I love from J.W. Kelly. I don't have it on my shelf yet because my pick hasn't come yet. We ended up picking 2 barrels. We also picked a Golden Age rye. That's another budget banger. I'm not sure the price on that one yet. It should be in the $40 range, $45 range. But I mean, we're talking about 8-9-year-old cast strength ryes for 40-45 bucks. The value is incredible. And don't think that just because this is a cheap bottle, it's not delicious, because I would put this up against almost any rye that I have on my shelf. It's that good. Don't sleep on your craft distilleries. Don't sleep on the NDPs. They're putting out fantastic stuff, and oftentimes you're supporting a small business. If you are still watching this video, smash that subscribe button. It helps me out. It keeps me motivated to keep putting out more content. I appreciate all the love and support that y'all have showed me. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this video. Let me know what you think about my recommendations. If there's a craft distillery that you love, leave me a comment. Let me know. If I haven't tried them yet, I'm going to want to try it. I'm always down to try new things. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please smash that subscribe button. Like this video, share this video with a friend, leave me a comment. Cheers.